Hi, I'm Deb Keyes with Stampin' on the Hill. Thanks for joining me today. We are going to do the January Delicate Pines class, and I'm going to go ahead and make all three cards. And of course, you're going to make two of each if you signed up for the class. You will have gotten enough supplies to make two of each of these three cards. So let me jump down and make sure that's not the right way. Let's go this way. There we go. Okay, so we're going to start with the easiest card, and we're going to go this way, I think. So to me, the easiest card is, and I'm going to have to end up putting my glasses on for this. To me, the easiest card is this one. This is based on a sketch, actually, so you can kind of see the different layers, and this ended up being an actual sketch that I had done one time or another. I hope you have chosen to craft along with me. Let's see if I think everything's in here. I realize not everybody works at the same pace, so go ahead, because this is pre-recorded. You'll be able to go ahead and start and stop the video whenever you want. Okay, let me think. If you don't happen to have all of the supplies, so for example, in this particular card, I'm actually going to use the So Swirly embossing folder on this layer. If you don't have the So Swirly and chose not to purchase it, go ahead and use something else. It's fine. You don't have to use exactly the stuff I'm using. If you didn't choose to, I'm going to bring in my embossing or my cut and emboss machine here. But if you didn't choose to purchase the Delicate Pines bundle, you definitely can use the same, swap it out, swap out whatever you like. That was the whole idea of this. So I am putting I want it straight at least. I'm going to put my paper in here, and then I'm going to use my number 1 and my number 3. I'm putting the folded side in first, and then another number 3 on the top of the So Swirly. And I am running this through. I'm sitting down to craft today because we're making all 3 projects. And I thought maybe that would be better for me. So we'll see. Who knows? Maybe I'm going to get in my own way. All right, so there's that. And we can just go ahead and assemble as we're going. I like to use green glue. You can use whatever your adhesive preference is. I can't believe this is actually working. If you've watched any of my other videos, I really sometimes have a hard time getting the first try of glue to actually come out of the bottle, because it tends to kind of clog in there a little bit. I have to move this so I can see what I'm doing. Make sure that, all right, that's better. So you can see what I'm doing. All right. Like I said, I'm usually standing up. So this one, we're going to add this layer of DSP. If you choose to use the other side, you are certainly welcome to as well. And just know that sometimes as I'm prepping these classes, you may get like a little bit slight variation of your DSP. I'm going to try to keep them all the same, but if I run out, you know, the DSP comes in packs of, there's like six different sheets most of the time. There's 6 different sheets, and there's 2 each of each design, front and back. So you have options, but I as well have options. I'm gluing now the smaller white square onto the smoky slate. know that you have options. And if you don't get exactly the same design of DSP, just know that I did consider and plan accordingly for you. So that's going to go here. I like to pretty much dry fit all my stuff first. This is going to be, I wanted this to be something different, and I forgot to grab, because the Delicate Pines has Warmest Winter Wishes, which is cool, and I'm going to use that too. Most magical, but Celebrate the Season. And because it's January already, I figure I didn't necessarily need to have more Christmas/holiday kind of cards. So we're going to use the smaller of these three, and they will fit on here. And there's three of them, so it's handy that you can do them all together. We're going to put those on here, and we're going to add back in our number 2 cutting plate. So I've got the 1 and the 2 and a 3. Sound like Lawrence Welk, don't I? Did you ever watch? I'm probably really dating myself, but Tom and I used to watch Lawrence Welk reruns on TV ages ago. It was pretty funny. Anyway, he would always say, and a 1, and a 2, and a 3. All right. Run that through. And I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool. I have one here. I have 2 of them, actually. I keep one on my other table over there where I keep the cut and emboss machines. And then I have one right here next to my desk. Because I found myself constantly getting up and going to grab that one. So I'm going to glue these 3 together here. I'm just going to put a little dot in the middle. Of course, now my glue is not going to work, right? There it is. But I'm trying to get just a little bit. All right, and I'm going to put these so that I'm going to go one this way and then one this way. So I'm going to kind of guess on the placement of this. I'm going to grab my I'm going to grab that other stamp set a second too. I'll be right back. So I went and grabbed my The Right Words, which is kind of my go-to right now stamp set. And of course, I didn't get any blocks out to do any stamping with, so let's do that too. All right. I think Happy Birthday is going to work for me for this one. Again, you can use whatever you like. I'm going to use the Smoky Slate ink. And I don't know if you know this or not, but usually if you put your 2 thumbs together here on the insides and give it a press, it'll snap open on the bottom. That's just a little tip for you. And I'm going to put Happy Birthday right in the middle. You could actually make this a little bit narrower if you chose to, but I'm going to call it good like that. And I'm going to bring in my little paper snips, and I'm going to go from in the center between here and here. I'm going to just eyeball where the center is, and I'm going to give this a little snip, and then I'm going to go from this corner to the top of that snip, and then from this corner up to the top of the snip on that side as well. Okay, and we're going to do it again on this side, trying to make my my initial snip the same length on this side, but I feel like it doesn't have to be perfect. It's homemade, right? Okay. We're going to move the garbage out of the way. Or not. All right. So now I have all the pieces for the most part. And now I can assemble this. So we're going to put this directly down on the center of my white diamond, but I want it to go like up and down like this. And I left my I don't know what you call them. I want to call them leaves, but they're not. My snowflake parts, I left them open. I didn't glue them down. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. And then we're going to add, this is going to go straight, and I'm making it so that my lines are kind of going up and down. You do not have to. And then this one, I'm going to do, actually this one I did with dimensionals. So let's grab some dimensionals. We'll put them in all four corners. I have to keep trying to teach myself to make sure that I'm doing this not, I tend to work a little bit closer to my body in general, and that is not conducive to staying within the camera. Not to go this way. All right, so this is going to go like this. And then I have put the gems in, I just had them here a minute ago, in your packet. There they are. These are holographic resin dots. Again, if you didn't order the class and you're trying to make this yourself and we don't have these available anymore, I encourage you to substitute with whatever you have. I like to use my scissors for this, as you noticed. I'm going to put that right here in the center. If you ordered the class, you definitely got those, or the one that, or the two that you're going to need. So one in each envelope. And then I'm going to add some dimensionals to the back of my greeting. And kind of center that up. You know, if you don't put it down, if you don't stick it really hard, you can lift it back up and try again. This is hard for me sitting down. Okay. Move it down here somewhere. All right. Once you're happy with where it is, then go ahead and give it a press. All right. So there's that one. Okay. And I could definitely, if I wanted to, stamp some more snowflakes on the inside, and I may later. I'm not going to do that right now for the sake of time, but clean up my mess a little bit. I grab my chamois, knock over a drawer while I'm at it. It helps if you close the drawer and you don't knock it over. All right, put my these red rubber stamps. I like them. It's easier to find the positioning on the clear stamps for sure, but those red rubber stamps, you know, are going away too. So, all right, let's come back with, now this one's got more, the Thinking of You card. This one has more of the, a lot of cutting, a lot of cut and emboss work. So this one I'm using, again, the right words, and I'm going to use Thinking of You again, out of, yeah, the right words. So let's get that lined up on here. This is kind of how I try to line up the rubber stamps. So I've got this lined up where I'm looking, is my head in the camera? Probably not. or probably is. So I've got like imaginary line right here, and I've got the bottom of like the I and the N and stuff sort of running along that line, and then I can pick up my stamp like this, and then that's fairly straight. All right, so let's try to, hard to keep it, put it over here maybe. All right, envelope out of the way, and then grab my pieces. All right, so the first thing we're going to do with this card is we're going to stamp the greeting on it first. This is a trick I learned so that you can position your folder over the top of it appropriately. Make sure we've got enough ink on there. I'm using shaded spruce because then the cardstock is shaded spruce, so I wanted it to kind of coordinate. So we're going to stamp this down a little bit toward the bottom, and I'm trying to center it side to side as well. All right. Let me clean this one off. And then we're going to use the glass from this is Glass and Gardens. So we've got one that I consider the glass because the one with the flowers I considered being the gardens. So we're going to put this in here like this, and I'm going to watch and see how far down I want it to go. I'm lining up my left edge with the line so that I know it's straight. And I think I'm going to move it down some because I really don't want these marks to run into my, if you like it that way, you may certainly do it that way. But I kind of wanted mine to be not touching my text. So now this is going to go in folded edge first. And we're going to take out our number 2 plate. So we're using the 1 and a 3 and another 3. And then running this through. I know you can't see this very well on this camera. Maybe if I, oh, no. All right. Okay. So now that's how that came out. Kind of cool, isn't it? All right. Put that off to the side. So then this is going to be layered onto the early espresso layer. And there's only about 1/8 of an inch around the sides here. Okay. Again, I'm kind of dry fitting first. Then I'm going to take my, let's see, we should put some of this stuff back on here before I get too carried away and can't remember where it goes. Although another tip I have for you is when I get my dies, I end up throwing them on. You could run them through and cut them out or whatever too, but I end up laying this flat on my flatbed printer, and I make a copy of it, and that way, and I keep it in with the folder because I keep these hanging on a wall. Anyway, that way I kind of know it's easier for me to figure out how the factory ended up getting all these dies on this one little piece of cardboard. All right, so we've got green. So we're gonna do one of these big ones in green. So that's why your paper is longer. And then we're also going to do 2 of these. So we should be able to get this and one of those, and then we'll have to run it through one more time. I'm looking at my example to make sure that I'm telling you the right things here. And I'm going to put the number 2 sandwich back together. So we've got the 1 and the 2. And then 3. And this. I want to make sure that it's on there though. Fingers are not working today. I want this to be this way because I want to make sure that there's enough left on that one. Pick this up and hold it together tightly so it doesn't move. I could use washi tape or masking tape, like painter's tape or something works as well to keep that together. And then we're going to pull this out. Of the die. We need to make one more of these. So I'm going to pull this out of here. And you're going to want to make sure before you put this away so that you have it ready to use the next time, you want to make sure you poke those holes out. I'm going to wait and do that later. But they stayed in on this side, so I'm going to poke them out this way. And hopefully they'll come off. I was trying not to make a big, huge mess on my work surface, though, so you can see how that worked out for me. All right. I want the pieces off of here. Because once you glue it down, if you don't get these little pieces off the back and you glue it down, they end up showing through one of the other little holes. All right, so let's get those out of the way. And oh, I'm probably going to need that one more time because we need to put this on here and run this through one more time. All right. Okay, so that is pretty much scrap. I know I like to keep a lot of scrap, but that I don't find any value in that. There's not enough left of that one to make it worth my while of keeping. All right, so I have that. And then I need to do my pine cones. And it looks like we're going to do pine cones. There's only one of these, so we're going to have to run this through 3 times. So I've got the solid pine cone as the crumb cake here, and then I have the detailed pine cone in pecan pie. So we're going to run these through. I'm going to do this 3 times. Actually, you know what? We can put this in here at the same time and grab. I grabbed, can you see? No, you can't. This little one with the 3 little berries on it. We can run all 3 of these through at the same time, this one. And then we'll do 2 more pine cones after that. All right. If they don't fall down on the floor and make a mess. Okay, there's 1. I can't find it. There it is. It's under my foot. How did it get there? And so this one stayed on the plate. So again, we've got all this mess. This is where I'm going to go grab my sponge because I think that'll help. That came out pretty nicely. Glitter, glitter, and more glitter. Lovely. Garbage. Poke out all the details. And then we're going to do 1 more here. Try and get that all on there. I was being a little stingy on this for myself. I should have done it a little bit better, longer. I will make sure yours are longer, but for today's practice, or purpose, I should say, I chose to just do it this way. I know why, because it slid. That's what I'm getting at. So I'm going to use a little bit of washi tape because I don't want it to slide. So there, as soon as I stuck it in the machine, it ended up sliding. So we'll put them in there. And then the washi tape stuck down to the, if I can get another one out of here. I think I can. Sometimes the washi tape is not very friendly to get all these pieces. At least they came out of this one, and it's easier to poke them out of the die, I feel like, than it is the when they stick in there like that. I'm going to try to get this out of here. It's not going to work. I'm going to grab another piece of pecan pie. Yours will be big enough because I do have the measurements set for those two pieces to be the same size. Let's run this back through here again. Put that one down. And this one down. Okay. One thing about the washi tape is you have to sometimes make sure you take it off very gently so it doesn't rip your paper. All right, so we've got 1, 2, 3 of these and lots of little holes that we will move. And then we've got 1, 2. How did I do that? Oh, that one came out of this one. All right, so I'm going to get these holes out later. And then here's the third one. I was going to go grab my roller brush, but the other ones came out nice. So this is the only one that I really have to. There's an attachment for your take your pick tool that it has a little brush on the end of it, and so you can brush over all those little holes like that, and it makes it the little holes come out so much nicer. Oh, I should probably take these out too. You could leave them in there, I suppose, the little holes, but I'm gonna take them out. All right. And this is just very time consuming, but again, go ahead and speed up your video. Most of the platforms that you would watch this video on would have like a fast forward 10 seconds, like fast forward 10 seconds or whatever at a time kind of thing. Go ahead and use that so you don't have to keep watching all this. All right, garbage, garbage, and then what we have left. Perfect. All right. Now we can start building. All right, I'm going to glue the vanilla piece to the early espresso piece. I like to add extra glue. Normally you'll see me just add glue around the edges, but when there's some texture to it from the embossing, I like to make sure that I add a little extra glue just to make sure it's going to stick there where it's textured, because you know that glue is only hitting in a couple of spots, right? All right. Make sure this is kind of straight. And then I'm going to put this one on first, and it's going to go all the way across. All right, so I'm using this as my center. And I'm only gluing down the center too. Maybe. Okay. I'm trying to eyeball how much of this I'm going to need to go up. And it's got a little bit of space. I just found some more holes that didn't come out. Get those out of there. Come on. Oh, there we go. All right. Looks like there's one behind here too. There was. Sneaky little buggers. All right. So then I'm going to take and I'm going to glue on my salad leaves, and I'm going to glue like just a couple of the leaves. I like to, it seems a little more dimensional, three-dimensional if I don't glue everything just all the way flat down. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to tuck it under here. There we go. And then the other one, we're going to tuck the other way. And again, I'm just gluing on a couple, three of the leaves. And this one's going to get tucked this direction. All right. Then we will, you can choose to, and I have done this before when I've gotten out my silicone mat and either a sponge dauber or a silicone brush, and I've brushed the glue on, but I kind of feel like this works for what I'm doing, to just glue these together like this without making that whole silicone mess. But if it's easier for you to get it on with a brush rather than these couple of dabs of glue, then feel free to do that. There's always, it's kind of like, I worked in an office for so many years, and one of the things they always told us was with Windows, you know, because of course everybody works on computers, but with Windows, there's always more than one way to do the same thing. Well, I kind of feel like that's the same with this. I feel like, you know, you can choose to just add little dabs of glue in this case, or you can get out your mat, or you know what you could do too is use the self-adhesive sheets and put those on the back of here. Maybe I'll do that at one point in the future, is teach you how to use those, because that's fun. All right, so 2 of these I'm going to glue down flat. This one's going to go up top, and then one's going to go on the bottom down here, and then this one is going to end up on a dimensional, just one dimensional. And then this one's going to go like this. I'm making sure that I cover up all the green here. So, and other than that, it doesn't really matter. And then we're going to add in some little berries by just using just a little bit more glue. And you can put these wherever you like. Put it kind of under here. And I usually try, when I'm adding embellishments like this, I usually try to do things like in a triangle. It's kind of a general design rule, is to do things in threes and in triangles. Oops, a little much on the glue there, Deb. All right, this one's just going to go down here though. All right, then what we have is, I forgot to grab a glue dot, so let me grab one of those. I like to use up the ones that come in the kits. All right, so what I'm going to do is, you're going to have a good, I think it's 14 inches long, yes, piece of linen thread. And I'm folding it in half. So now I've got the half mark over here. And then what I do is I take and I make 2 bows with my fingers, and or bunny ears, if you will, if that's how you learned to tie your shoes. Bunny ears, and then this goes through and pulls tight. And then we're going to give it a little tweaking. Pull one of these a little bit smaller and then give it a nice tug once I'm ready. It seems a bit bigger on that side, doesn't it? And then we're just going to pull all the bottoms together and give it a good cut. Oh, shoot. I forgot to bring my ribbon scissors too, so who knows what this is going to look like. Oh, not bad. All right. That was lucky. I'm also going to use my scissors to pull up a glue dot, take the paper off of it, and then I'm going to give it a little roll, like a hot dog kind of roll. Can you see it? And I'm going to pick up my knot with my glue dot there, and then this is just going to go up here. All right. And then this whole piece is going to get glued onto the card base. Maybe. If I don't wear it first. Okay. There. Cute. This is my favorite, I think, of all of them. Okay, so we have that one, and we have our envelope to go with it. Again, you could choose to stamp some more pine cones or something in the inside. I may choose to do that later. I am making a big, huge mess over here. Okay. What else do we have? Okay, so this one, Warmest Winter Wishes, I'm gonna turn my, I don't know if you can hear that or not, but I'm turning my heat tool on. So this one we're using Azure Afternoon as our card base. And the first thing we're going to do is cut off 1 1/4 inches from this side down this way. So I'm going to bring in my cutter, and on this side, 1 1/4 is this long mark here, because the very end of the white is 1 1/2. So I'm just going to line that up, cut that off of my front edge. Okay. Then I'm going to use my So Swirly folder yet again. And I'm going to put this, how did I do it? Oh, I did it like this, I think. I did. So I ended up using it this way. So when I line this up, so we're going to only emboss that front little flap, okay? So I like to line it up. If you can see in here, there's a ridge right here where it stops being embossing. So I want to make sure that I line up my swirls so that they hit my fold mark, but don't go over, if that makes sense. All right, I gotta pull out my number 2 plate again. And I'm holding this tight. And this is going through again with just the 2 clear cutting plates in between, folded side in. I'm gonna do this and then slide it in. If you slide it in far enough, then where the handle starts turning, you know exactly what you're doing here. All right. So then this is what it looks like. Okay. I did pretty well. Now I'm going to also take my bone folder and rescore this edge just kind of gently. I don't want to go press too hard because it'll flatten that out. So I don't want to do that. But all right, let's well, I've got this heat gun or heat tool warmed up. Let's do this part. So move all of the pieces out of the way. And so we're going to use our embossing buddy. And the embossing buddy just makes it kind of like takes the static off of your paper so that your embossing powder ends up sticking only to what you want it to stick to, rather than sometimes you get little dots of something, and once they're on there, you can't get them off. So we're going to use this stamp, and it doesn't matter which direction. It matters if you stick it on the wrong side of the block. But all right, so I'm going to get myself ready. So I want my embossing powder open because I like to work kind of quickly when I do this embossing stuff. And when I say that, you just want to make sure that you get the embossing powder onto the project quickly. You could do a whole bunch of these, like if you're mass producing stuff, you could do a whole bunch of them. As long as you get the embossing powder on and then set it aside, you can heat it later, as long as you don't bump off or smudge the powder. But for now, we're going to stamp with the Versamark, so you're not going to be able to see this, but then we're going to hold this over the tray. You might be able to see it on there now. And then sprinkle. And I wasn't careful. So in the ends of these things is a little funnel. And so if you pull your little plug out, you could dump it back down into your embossing powder. And I'm going to be sure to do that later. And that's kind of what the brush is for, to help clean up little spots or to help clean up your tray. We're going to use our reverse tweezers. Let me get this stuff out of the way. And then you can watch the magic happen with the heat tool. I use it on high. And then sometimes you'll find that it's easier to try to heat from the bottom of your surface too. I may try that. You see what I'm doing? Not yet. Can you see it coming to life? It's getting glossy. And some of it is not getting so glossy, you'll notice. Oh, there we go. And when it's not getting glossy like that, and I keep trying, you want to make sure that you're not holding the heat directly in one place for too long, because you don't want to burn it. So here, watch. Try this upside down. So I've got a couple spots right here that are not coming up for me. But see, when I hold it underneath, it does. A couple more spots over here. So anyway, that's an option. Put that away. So you want to make sure that there's no powder left on here, because otherwise it'll smudge. And find. So these are the two dyes we're going to use. All right. And again, we're going to have to probably tape them together. So I'm going to line this one up around the outside edge. And then I'm going to line this one up on the inside. And I'm going to hold and tape. And then my fingers are sticky. So, all right. So now I need to put my 1 and my 2 and one of the 3s. I've been trying to do on my sandwich or my clear cutting plates. I've been trying to do like the cut one down all the time and use a clean one on the top. And then once this one gets so chewed up that it just doesn't work anymore, then I swap them out and I put this one on the bottom. But let's see how this goes through here. Did you hear it crunching? All right, so we've got these. Clean that up later. This and this. Slide it out, and now that's what we have. It's so cute. All right, so now I think, oh, you know what else we needed to do? I needed to do warm winter wishes, and I needed to get that on my block too. Sorry. Let's bring this back in a minute and bring out our one piece of this and a verse mark back in again. And you'll notice on here that I stamped farther off to the right. So we're going to do that again. And then I'm just going to stick this in here. There we go. And move that back to there. See, there was a reason I didn't put that right back in there. The powder back into the jar. I have this about, I'm not sure if you can tell the depth or not, but I have this about 3 to 4 inches above my paper. That one worked pretty fast, so we're good with that. All right, so now I think it's time to assemble. Oh, I did some stamping on the inside of this one, which I thought was really cute. Let's grab a stamp. It was just this little snowflake. And I ended up using Azure Afternoon. Of course, when you want it to work that way, it doesn't, right? I find that the more you open and close these things, the easier they are. Here we go. So I'm going to leave this here, get my pieces and keep them together here a second, but out of the way because I'm going to make a mess on my desk. I just know it. All right, so I'm going to start with the top, and I'm going off the paper a little bit at the top, and I'm going to go zigzaggy kind of down. So then this one's going to go this way. This one's going to go here. And you'll notice, well, if you've been stamping long, you already know this, but if you are new to stamping, you want to make sure you re-ink between every stamp to make sure that you get even coverage. All right, so that's a cute little inside. You could stamp a greeting or something in there too. I just planned to actually just write something in mine. So I think we're ready to glue this together. Hold on, we forgot a step. This 1 inch or 1 1/4 inch piece that we cut off of here, we need to score this at 3 1/2. So that's the cutting blade. We don't want to use that. So 3 1/2 and the scoring blade. All right. Something tells me that I did this wrong, but that's okay. Nope, I didn't. All right, so this is going to go, we have to glue the back tab of this to the back side of this white piece before we glue the white piece in. All right. So we'll add some glue to the short side of this tab. And I want to make sure that it, let's see, let's put it like this. And then fold this around this way and adhere it back there. All right. And you can put yours in the middle if you want, but the way that I designed this one, I chose to put it down farther. Then we're going to add some glue to the white piece now. And then we're going to make sure that this is centered in our card, like the inside would normally be, kind of centered. All right. And then this is how our flap's going to work. Now for this layer, the DSP layer, again, your DSP may look at these two DSPs. This DSP is called, what is it called? I have it right here. It's called Lights of Aurora, and it is so, so beautiful. If you haven't seen it yet, there's so many different colors. There's greens, and there's all kinds of, like the Aurora Borealis or Northern Lights kinds of shading in there. It's beautiful, beautiful paper. I encourage you to buy some because it's really pretty and it works with so many different things. It doesn't have like a real pattern to it per se. All right, we're going to put this layer here. Wipe up my mess. And then this is going to be centered like on the card as a whole. All right. So this is what I do. I want it to go this way so I can flip it upside down, make sure it's centered. All right. And then I'm only going to glue up to my blue because we don't want to glue it down to the inside of the card. I'm giving myself a little leeway for some jiggling. But then if I flip it back over, that's about centered. Okay. Then this is going here, so this will end up here. We can glue this. Down. Again, giving myself a little bit of wiggle room with the glue. Making sure it's as straight as I can possibly get it. And then I'm going to just glue the little bottoms of this. So it's going to end up staying. I'm going to try and curl it a little bit. You can use your bone folder for curling. Did you know that? It's a great tool for curling. Kind of like with your scissors, you know, you just hold it tight and that'll help it stay a little bit straighter. I think I'm going to do it this way. Like this. So again, I can flip this upside down and only glue on here. I want it to be a little bit off this way too, but I want to be able to only glue where there's going to be paper under here. Like that. And now this opens and this opens. All right. So that was, I think that was the third one. We did it. And that goes with that. Another one of those. We did it. It's so exciting. Okay. Well, I encourage your comments and feedback if you have any. And I hope that you chose to craft along with me because this was a lot of fun. I don't really know how long we've been going, but until next time, thanks for watching.